All right, friends. I know who would have thought North Carolina, Clemson in the ACC championship game. Certainly not me, but it's all good because I'm happy that my heels are here. But I also want to talk about the good, bad, and ugly with the Atlantic Division. I feel like I have someone who is going to be excited to talk about ugly. Could it be that game that happened in Carter Finley and Raleigh this weekend? Who knows? But let's tune in to find out.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. If you are tuning in live here on Sunday night, we are going over all the fun things. If you are tuning in on Monday, you are in for a treat because Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack is here, and we all know we've been waiting to hear for the entire weekend since it happened Saturday evening on senior night, his thoughts around the Wolfpack and that Boston College matchup, head-scratching, if you will. But before we get into that, all the juicy things and the fun things of it, we have to talk about the fact that my Tar Heels, yes, my Tar Heels, are going to the ACC championship game. Who would have thought it? Let's go, Coastal Champs, what you talking about? Drake May in the building, boom, 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 all the things. Kenton Gibbs, are we excited about it? I feel the energy. I feel the vibes already out the gate.
You know, I'm trying to keep this show's clean rating.
Please, because you can't cuss. I don't feel like editing. Thank you so much.
I'm trying to not get us demonetized on the Locked On channel. I'm trying. But if you keep testing my nerves, I done gave the Drake May boy his credit. I done said he's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. He's, objectively speaking, the numbers bear out that he is the best quarterback in the nation by the numbers, based on who he's playing and all that. Well, not based on who he's playing. I'm sorry. When you ignore who he's playing and all that, he's best in the nation. The best, but the Tar Heels being in the ACC championship is not that big of a surprise because it's the Coastal.
You know what? We're not doing this Coastal. You know what we're not going to do today? We are not going to rag on the Coastal because you can only play in front of you. Now, before I get into that, guys, listen, this episode of Locked On ACC is brought to you by Sling TV. Don't miss this week's matchup between all of our week 12 opponents. There we are. Week 12. Oh my gosh. Can't believe we're in the last weeks of football, but it's right here on Sling. Sling, the TV you love for a price you'll love. Try it today. All right, Kenton Gibbs. The Coastal might not be as crazy as we would have liked, but nonetheless, it's been pretty dominant by the Tar Heels. They are undefeated in Coastal play. They only had one loss so far on the season. That's a Notre Dame team who was starting to strike iron and starting to strike fire, get a little bit better. They beat a few people that are good. You know, they beat Clemson, who North Carolina will face off against in the ACC championship game. So you have North Carolina versus Clemson, literally the states, North Carolina versus South Carolina. It's all the things, all the pomp and circumstance to create what should be a very good matchup. Now, before you get into your Coastal blah, 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 you couldn't see anybody else facing off against Clemson, but do you think the Tar Heels actually stand a chance against the Tigers?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This is 300 when Xerxes was made to bleed. People are ceasing to believe in a God. This is Iron Man 2 when Whiplash said, how do you make people no longer believe in a God? You make them bleed. And guess what? Notre Dame got them boys gushing. That Notre Dame team, they're figuring it out now. Marcus Freeman is getting it going now, but they're not a team that is so elite and so dominant that you're like, nobody has a chance. And I'm going to tell you this. Mm-hmm. The crack in the armor of the DJ, Cade, who's the quarterback, sometimes, Dabo can dress it up as pretty as he wants. He can say, well, sometimes Steph Curry is missing a lot of shots and you need somebody else to come in here. This ain't basketball. This ain't basketball. We're talking football, baby. And the rule of thumb is if you got two quarterbacks, how many do you have, Candace?
None.
Okay. All right. I need to take the football knowledge because I know you know the game. I know you know the ball. So, this is a team this is a Clemson team that they match up well with the Tar Heels, right?
Think so.
May is a freshman. He's looked great. It's his second year on campus, but he ain't seen no D-line like what Clemson has. Neither has North Carolina's offensive line. They ain't seen nothing like that. They ain't seen them boys are different. You understand? They got 3 guys up front that I think, I'm not kidding when I say this. Underwater scuba diver could probably hold their breath longer than it's going to take for those boys to get drafted. So this is, this is a different thing, but it's a good matchup all the way around because for Drake May and company, if you can get a little protection, that defensive backfield ain't nothing. This is, you know how everybody say this is nothing to play with? This is a dog's chew toy. This is the squeak, squeak. This is that secondary is.
It's a what?
It's a what?
What's a dog chew toy? What does that sound?
I don't have pets. I don't know what it sounds like. Okay, I'm not a pet guy. You get my point.
We see.
You get my point. See, not a good people are locked on gonna look at me like I'm some type of monster who hates animals. I'm just not a pet guy. I can barely feed myself. I don't want another little living thing to feed. I don't got kids either. Okay, but anyway, this North Carolina team definitely has a shot. Anybody who's ruling them out, I would simply ask why. Again, I understand that they haven't played anybody or beat anybody. They're one of the only teams in the nation that hasn't beat a ranked team yet that's ranked in the top 25.
Well, they wouldn't beat a ranked Wake Forest had Wake Forest decided to, stick around, but they were playing. They playing on their little skid. Okay.
Again, I'm going to tell you this. This North Carolina team, like I always say, you can only play who's in front of you.
Period.
They beat everybody in front of them except the only team that looked decent. That's the reality.
Fair. So let's run it back. Carolina beat FAMU, Appalachian State, Georgia State, Virginia Tech, Miami, Duke, Pitt, Virginia, Wake Forest, and then they face off against Georgia Tech at home. They have NC State, and then they have Clemson in the championship game. I understand when you read that list of people, the toughest opponent you see maybe is probably Duke. Would you agree with that?
I disagree.
Who's the toughest opponent?
I would say it's State if they decide to get rid of Tim Beck, but since they loyal to the Royals.
See, it's not your time yet. It's not your time yet. It's not your time yet.
I'm not going there.
I'm asking you about the people that they have played. Please come back. Please.
Okay, so of all the teams that they've played so far, Duke is the best. Yes, Duke is the best.
Duke is the best. And, listen, they are right there in the second spot of the Coastal for a reason. Now, I'm just saying, Carolina, keep playing, win out, do what you got to do. I'm so excited for you guys to be Coastal champions and all the things. I'm glad there's no pressure for the NC State North Carolina game. I'm glad it's not like somebody's going to get a bowl, somebody's not going to get a bowl, somebody has to pick up their face after a really bad win, NC State. But I just think it's going to be a good matchup when it comes in 2 weeks. So let's table that, right? All that to say, Clemson, North Carolina. It's going to be a better match than people are thinking. If you flash back to 2015 and that phantom offsides call when they were trying to kick the ball off for the onside kick, all the things, I think it's a revenge game for the Heels, and they should get their lick back. That's all I'm saying. It took us 7 years to get here, but we're here. Might as well. What are you talking about? Okay.
This is not a revenge game.
It is.
Not a single person, player, coach that was on that team is here now.
Shout out to my man Fedora. Shout out to my man Fedora.
That ain't how revenge game works. Shout out to Fedora. Shout out to him.
Those abs. Bless the Lord.
Shout out to the chopper. Shout out to the helicopter. The helicopter boy. Shout out to Larry Fedora.
I'm dead. All right, so there's that. But you're talking about Clemson, which face off against North Carolina in the ACC championship game on December 3rd. On ABC at that prime time, all the stage, which means I feel like Carolina can hang on, but boy, you are absolutely right about that defensive line there from Clemson. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get to the good. Can we talk about the good here that happened here in the past week 11 for the Atlantic Division teams? I think that we love to have that here. We're going to talk about that in just a moment, but guys, inflation has us all thinking about different ways to cut back, whether it's driving less, dining out less, or buying less from the grocery store. We can all agree there's nothing fun about less. That's why I started using Upside. Upside is an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or dines out. With Upside, I don't have to cut back because I get cash back on every single purchase. To get started, download the free Upside app, use promo code LOCKED and get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Again, download the free app Upside, UPSIDE, and use promo code LOCKED, LOCKED, to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. We're rocking and rolling here with Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack, and we're going to start with the good that we always do on GBU Mondays, good, bad, and ugly for our ACC football teams. If you are new to the show, we do this every single Monday. Kenton has, of course, the Atlantic Division teams. On Tuesday, we do the Coastal teams. But let's start with the good. I'm going to let you kick it off because I got some good, but I want to hear your good.
This is not a good, this is a great. We've talked about it on this show before. And, you know, Candace is normally facetious when she's saying this. Jordan Travis.
Ooh-wee.
Mr. Travis. Hey, we talked about a lot of quarterbacks coming into this year. Jordan Travis wasn't one of them that was mentioned in that upper echelon.
Now, why didn't we talk about him? Explain to the people why we didn't talk about him.
I mean, he hadn't shown a ton. And that's fair. But this is why, you know, in the words of Andre 3000, you're only funky as your last cut. And Mr. Travis has more touchdowns than incompletions in the last 2 games he's played. That man is playing out of his mind. I'm seeing something crazy. 3 blowouts straight for Florida State. 3 blowouts straight for this Florida State team. And again, I understand that it's a situation where, you know, you're playing Georgia Tech, you're playing the down Miami, you're playing Syracuse, who's on the losing streak. But like we said about North Carolina, we got to extend everybody the same grace. You play who is in front of you.
Yep.
And what has Jordan Travis done to those teams in front of him? He's whooped the wheels off them boys.
Whooped the wheels. And let's give some stats for the people who are at home. Jordan Travis, 155 yards on the day, 21 for 23 in catch and attempts. And I just feel like his QBR is 85%. And more than that, I just am also glad that Seminoles fans have not been in my mentions because nobody got time for that. But the confidence that he's had, I think the growth that he's had as a player is very imminent as he gets out there on the field. It helps to have guys you can go to whether it's receivers or it's your running core. It's nice to see him have the vote of confidence from Norvell. We saw a little bit of head scratching moments between the two of them, you know, NC State game, for example. But I think the way he's been resilient in all of the things that have come up his way, especially at his time at Florida State, very commendable. You see, I can give Jordan Travis a compliment. Boom. Absolutely. How you like me now?
Absolutely.
Cool. The sad of that is the 38-3 victory over Syracuse's Dino Babers and the boys. We'll get there. My good would agree be Florida State. I just was going to say as a team, it's nice to see them rally around, be the 23rd team in the country. Obviously, I think they need to move up, but more than that, they are coming back from all the negativity, all of the, you know, we need to get fired Norvell and, you know, all the things, and they're making something out of nothing. We talk about the fighting Satterfields. We got to give it up for the fighting Norvells. Like, the boys are really doing what they got to do to get this, because he was on, the ice was a little, the seat wasn't as hot as Satterfield because financially they just could not afford to get rid of him like that. Right. But it's nice to see a little swing. My other good, the guys from Boston College, the Fighting Halfleys. The boys knew that Halfley was on the hottest seats of hot. Nope, don't cut me off. I have my good. Thank you so much. And you go down to Raleigh, where nobody gives you a snowball's chance in hell to win the game. And somehow, some way, they kept fighting. They figured it out. And like the boy said on TikTok, NC State, what happened? Okay, I'll let you have it.
I just hope you know. I just hope you know. Your boys better win out, not just in the ACC championship game.
Why?
But for the rest of the season.
Why?
Oh, because you better believe that the team that beats them is for sure going to be the good on my end. P-E to the T-T. Why? Because that's going to be, if that's how we're planning on this show,
you can't be excited for a 2-7 team going down on a road game and winning against a 7-2 team. Like, come on their senior night at that. Let's go, dog. Like, that's a good.
If you watch that game and you can honestly tell me with a straight face, Boston College played a good game, I would like to know what your definition of good football is. I would like to know. NC State got the, you know what? Let me not go there. Let me not do this right now.
I see it. It's coming.
Don't worry. We're going to get there, fans. We're going to get there. But if you can tell me that was a good game of football, again, your boys better go.
But it doesn't have to be a good game of football. The good is that they were able to pull out in spite of. And yes, NC State might have pissed down their leg, but that's not Boston College's fault. That defense decided to show up that day. They made some key plays when it mattered. Period. Like you could be upset, but you could also give credit where it's due. The same way that you made me give credit to Jordan Travis and not be facetious about it, you need to give Boston College just a smidgen on this unbiased show of some credit. Thank you. Give it to me then. Give it to me then.
At the end of the day, Boston College showed up and did what they were supposed to do.
Damn, they showed up again. Golly.
They showed up and did because God don't like ugly. That's what happened. At the end of the day, Boston College showed up and did what they were supposed to do.
Okay.
But my whole point of this is that NC State handed them the game on a platter. And let me talk about one of the things NC State did wrong that I'm not going to talk about in the ugly. NC State, when rushing 5 or more all game, I believe that the Boston College's quarterback had a completion percentage of like 30%. And then on the and then on the last drive, all of a sudden, we're like, oh, we're only going to rush 3 to 4. Drake Thomas had 13 pressures on the day. Everybody's mad about the pass interference. Well, if only there was something Drake Thomas does better than drop back in coverage. If only there was something that we could have sent him to do that he had done well all night that would have worked out. Again.
Okay, remember the Titans, should he have blitzed all night?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You don't ask if Khalil Mack should blitz all night. You don't ask if Bradley Chubb should blitz all night. You don't ask if Aaron Donald should blitz all night. You say to yourself, this is what he does well.
What did the coach tell Petey? We blitzing all night.
All night. And for whatever reason,
we
saw a freshman and figured, well, we're not going to win the game. He's going to piss down his leg. But again, credit to Boston College. Credit to their offensive coordinator, because you know what their offensive coordinator said? We got a bona fide star in Zay Flowers. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to force feed him the ball. He's going to get this ball whether he wanted it or not. He is not. Antonio Brown couldn't ask for more touches than what we gave this man. This is what we're doing. And they were successful. So credit to Boston College.
But the Fighting Halfleys. Mm-hmm.
But please know.
Please know.
If your boys don't run the table, you already know who's going to be my good for that Monday. Just be ready.
Kenton.
I don't care if we're talking Atlantic. Yo boys are going to hear who the good is. Don't worry about it.
Kenton, this is a show where we have to talk about all the teams. Why are you getting in your feelings because your team caught the L this day? You are reminding me of Miami fans who be in our mentions, Virginia Tech fans, of Louisville fans, of Florida State fans. You're giving, hush, let me finish my thought. You're giving the energy of a bitter fan, okay? You're giving someone who's upset and in their feels. And at the end of the day, all I'm saying is you should have won the game. The defense that you talk about, the boys in the trenches who are very much capable of dominating a, 4-string offensive line out of Boston College? Come on, dog.
They did, though. That's the thing. They did.
They did till they didn't. They did till they didn't.
They allowed 21 points. I don't know in what world the average college football team in today's game scores 30 points. The average FBS or Power 5 team scores about 30 to 32. Like they held the team 10 points below the average here. I know that a lot of us believe that you can't be dominant without.
But when you're in the red zone and it's one play, that's summertime. That's weightlifting. That's mentality. That's one more play. The same way I got these boys from North Carolina on the basketball court talking about one more block. That's one more push, and they could have had it.
Again, and now you're bringing in North Carolina basketball too. Your boys,
they got something for them.
Better run the table.
Okay.
They better run the table.
Good news. All right, guys, listen, talk about my time here with Nissan. This week's thrilling moment in college football is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. The thrilling designs behind the new lineup from Nissan are intended to empower drivers in vehicles as capable as the drivers themselves. When I think of unbelievable abilities on the field for this week's thrilling moment, it has to be Drake May and how he was able to go in someone else's trap. Wait for us, I'm talking to you. Take over their trap and get the big dub when it was all said and done. If he is not getting the phone call to go to New York, y'all are doing this man a disservice. Glad I could get that out. I love thrilling moments because I love the opportunity to just talk about all of the good things happening across the ACC. This segment has been inspired by the thrilling new designs featured across Nissan's new lineup of vehicles. Pursue what thrills you in the all-new Frontier, Armada, or Pathfinder today. Available now at Nissan.com. NissanUSA.com, that is. We're rocking and rolling with Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack, talking about the ACC GBU Monday. Reminded you guys at the top of the show that Clemson and North Carolina will face off in the ACC Championship on December 3rd. I'll be there. Can't wait to see you all the good things. But for now, let's move on to the bad. Maybe a little mix of ugly in there. Who knows? We'll see how this transpires. But let's start with some bad. Now, Louisville, I know that you wanted your dog to do the best he could with what he got. Came out with the club lit on his left arm. He was giving it all for the group. But I just don't think Malik Cunningham should have played. I think you should have gone with Duman. We're going to call him that.
Not the name either.
We're going to try. We should have just gone with it, held the L, and gone on a better way. I think forcing Malik to play in that situation when he was clearly hurt was just not. And listen, I get it. You want to have that dog in him. He want to do whatever for his team. But the man got to have, not even barely the halftime. That one play took him out. It was just not a good look for the Fighting Satterfields.
I agree, but I'm not sure that the team forced him to do that.
I'm not saying they did not force him to play. All I'm saying is they should have sat his butt down. They shouldn't have allowed him
to play. They
should have sat his butt down.
We should have went with his best interest against his hope and dream.
Against his better judgment. Yes. Okay. Get him out of his own way.
I agree. It's such a tough line to walk, but I understand. I understand that he really wanted.
I mean, you're literally the kind of guy who would give his left club in order to play and all.
When I tore my bicep, I didn't know I tore it, so I taped it up and finished practice. Yeah. I've been that guy, and again, there's my career and Malik Cunningham's career. Sure. He's got a lot going for him going forward that I did not have in front of me. Somebody needed to step in. And as the good books say, intercede on his behalf.
Period.
Somebody need to step in and say, hey man, we love you too much to let you go out like this. Just take a seat, dude. If we can't get this win, we can't get this win. I know to be the team that breaks that record streak in Death Valley, to be the team, it's amazing. There's nothing. Had he played well and had he won the game, there would be nothing like it. However, the reality is, in the words of Thanos, reality is often disappointing. And this is one of those moments where the reality was not that exciting, that fun, fairy tale story. It was just a guy going out there with one
going out sad, really.
Yeah.
Did we really think that this? I mean, listen, Louisville had great defense; they were improving, but was this Louisville team going to upset Clemson at home?
I mean, it was possible. Let's not say it wasn't possible.
I just said. Do you listen to me on this show? I'm confused. Are you sure?
I am listening. I said it was possible. Let's not say it wasn't possible.
I didn't say it wasn't impossible. I just said, come on now.
You said
this Louisville team?
There was a chance. Here's the reason why.
Well, hell, there's always a chance when you play the game.
Their defensive backfield has been trending the right way for quite some time. And they have been taking the ball away at a ridiculous rate. What was Clemson's Achilles heel against Notre Dame? Turnovers. So it was not just any type of turnovers, a bunch of interceptions combined with a block punt, of course. But
Louisville is one of the best, if not the best, turnover teams in the country. So yes, I hear you.
It wasn't
impossible.
It wasn't the farthest fetched thing this week, which is what we'll get to in just a second.
But they were going to need Malik Cunningham to play lights out, 100% healthy, use his legs, and just do the damn thing, which that just wasn't the case.
That's fair. Yes. Yeah, with Malik hurt, no, that wasn't. Because I didn't know the extent to which he was hurting, and with him only being with one hand, basically, yeah, it wasn't happening.
Never gonna happen. So that's my bad. Okay, what is your bad? Your turn.
The losing streaks of Wake Forest and Syracuse.
Let's talk about it.
They're so tough.
Now, for the Syracuse's sake, as much as you got on them about being fraudulent, this streak is almost confirming that fraudulence.
And it hurts. It hurts to see. Like,
it hurts my heart because I go hard for Dino in the paint.
And it's not even, I'm going to tell you, it's not even just about Dino for me.
Yeah.
This makes the conference look bad as a whole. Because
we're bad as a unit.
Those two teams, Wake Forest took Clemson to a better game than anybody else except Notre Dame this year. And now look at them. Look at them.
Did Clemson break Wake Forest?
Stop, please. Please. Syracuse, 6-0. Haven't won a game since.
Did Clemson break Syracuse? Okay. All right. My bad. I'm quiet. I'm going on mute.
Jail is 364 days or shorter. Prison for this. These losing streaks are just tough to see. Again, this ain't about who I want to win or for the conference as a whole. We talked about the fact that last week the Atlantic had 6 teams that were bowl eligible, and now it's like
barely.
Who's good besides Clemson? That's the question again, because you got Clemson, and then who's the second team in the Atlantic?
Florida State.
It's Florida State. Is it Florida State?
It's Florida State.
Is it? But you get what I'm saying. Is it Florida State? You can say Florida State has 3 blowouts back to back to back, but who are those blowouts against? And they were the first team to lose to MJ Morris and Jack Chambers.
They had no film on MJ. So, of course.
No. Jack Chambers couldn't hit the side of a Walmart from the parking lot, baby. That man, they won that game by saying, hey, listen, and NC State's running game is about as creative as my hairstylist. You understand? For those of you all who listen and don't see me, I'm bald. I am very much so bald. So
fine.
But no, that's my point exactly.
But I want your point. Can your point go back to the fact that as much junk as people talk about the Coastal, I feel like you need to give one right quick to this.
Oh, that's why these losing streaks are so bad, because now you don't have that one up on the Coastal anymore. Well, who's over there? They don't have anybody over there. I love the mob. That 335, y'all know I love me some 335. It ain't just an NC State thing. I love 335 altogether. It's great. Mm-hmm. What Wake Forest was supposed to be. They were supposed to be the 85 play a game offense. Boom, boom, boom. They're going. RPO, long mesh, going. They done hit a hard stop, ain't it? This what? Scoreless in the fourth quarter? Scoreless. Not a drop.
Against that North Carolina defense?
Against that defense. Against that.
And that mesh was meshing. Now, that mesh was meshing.
It's bad.
At some point, the mesh was meshing until it didn't mesh no more. And I just...
No more. It stopped meshing.
It stopped meshing. I feel like they just got in their head. And I'm just sitting here saying to myself, what is really going on with Wake Forest?
But you know what, though? We talked about this last year. And I'm going to tell you, nobody wants to hear this, and they're going to say I'm being a hater. Same thing with Carolina this year. You can only live on that edge, on that danger zone, on that we're winning every game by one possession, but for so long. Look at all the Wake Forest losses this year. Look at all the losses this year, except for Louisville. How much were they by? They lost to Clemson overtime, 6 points. They lost to NC State by 9 points, but really that 9 was very ambiguous. Like it really shouldn't have been a 9-point win there. And then they just lost to UNC by 3 points. This is what we knew. When one side of the ball is not showing up for a team, and you have that magical, special year where you just happen to keep coming up with the ball last. Good for you. It's not sustainable.
I feel like it's going to come home to roost. And we joke about Clemson and North Carolina, but I just feel like this is going to be either the game that Drake May gets exposed and they can't do nothing with it, or the magic just kind of runs out. I just feel like it's coming a little bit. I don't think he's going to have this high flying, incredible game. I just have this gut, but I am a North Carolina pessimist. I just have this feeling that it's going to be a bad one, but who knows?
Oh, don't worry. There's plenty of pessimism.
You can't wait. You can't
There's plenty
wait.
of pessimism to go around on this show. There is plenty of pessimism to go around on this show.
Well, we will not be our show if we do not end with some ugly. So please, Kenton Gibbs, hit us with the ugly of the week. I'm going to let you have the floor because you clearly have the ugliest conversation to have here today.
When I was on a recruiting visit, for those of you who don't know, of course, I played football at NC State, all that good stuff. When I was on a recruiting visit, not to NC State, it was to another school. And this coach, I care for him very dearly. Me and him still talked, even though I didn't go to the school that he was at. And when I was on the recruiting visit, he pulled out a picture of his family. And he said, "They're beautiful, aren't they?" I said, "Yeah, they are." He said, "I'm trusting you to feed them." I said, "What?" He said, "If I give you a scholarship and you come here, I trust that you're going to go to class, that you're going to work hard, that you're going to do all the things, and you're going to make us a winner, which is going to keep me here, which gives me the ability to feed my family." Mm-hmm. And so when with that in mind, I have always seen coaches as people, you know what I mean? And not numbers, not just some random guy. Mm-hmm. I don't call for coaches' jobs lightly.
You don't. You really don't. Because you know what goes into it.
I don't. Timothy Aloysius Beck cannot coach another game in Raleigh. He can't do it. He can't do it. He can't do it.
Why is that?
This Boston College team coming into this game was giving up 36 points per game in conference competitions. 36. Over 5 touchdowns worth of points per game. That's not the high. That's not, Clemson put up 36 on them. Or, Wake Forest had a great game and they put up 30. Everybody who played them put up those types of numbers. Everybody. The lowest that they had allowed in conference was 27. Mm-hmm. The lowest. And so.
Yes, please.
I look at this team. I look at what happened. Mm-hmm. It's not just that NC State lost. It's how NC State lost. If NC State lost this game 34-33 like Louisville lost to them earlier in the year, hey, Beck, your job's safe. You did your job. Gibson, we got to have a conversation. Come on into the office. But we scored on the first 2 drives because the 20 points is misleading. So let's talk about it. You scored on the first 2 drives, okay? Yeah. On those 2 drives, Thayer Thomas, if y'all don't know who he is, listen to the show. In the NC State record books for receiving, Thayer Thomas is everywhere. There is 3 guys that you will see all through those record books. Torrey Holt, Jericho Cotchery, Thayer Thomas. I'll throw in the Emeka Mezi as a 4th. Those are the 4 guys that you see everywhere. Everywhere. Mm-hmm. He had 2 targets on the 2 drives that they scored in the beginning. 1 target on both drives. And then all of a sudden, on the next 13 drives combined, he had 2 targets. A great offensive coordinator lifts the team. He lifts the talent. He shows things that you didn't even know were there, but he bought it out. He schemes people open. A good offensive coordinator, he just shows you what's there. What you see is what you get. We got a ball player. We're going to get the ball to him like Boston College did. They said, we got this great kid. He's going to touch the ball a lot. 11 times they attempted to get the ball to Zay Flowers. Good stuff. And really, they probably did more than that, but he just didn't get targeted on that play because we got home and got a sack or whatever the case may be. Sure. To only target the senior on senior day 4 times and score 20 points is criminal. It's criminal. A team that lost to UConn, it's criminal.
Yeah.
A team that I struggle to come up with the words to describe the ineptitude of only scoring 6 points in 3.5 quarters on a defense that allows 36 a game. And not to mention, those points that they scored, those drives started on NC State's 40 or further. One of those drives, special teams made a huge play, knocked the ball out of the returner's hands. They get it on about their own, on Boston College's 30 or 35, and we get a field goal.
You're tired. It just sounds like you're tired. You tired a bit. There's not much more you can say that we already don't know, but I just feel like you tired.
I'm gonna tell you this. Tired ain't the word. Okay. Exhausted, exasperated.
Weird. You weary. You weary. You like one of the old mothers of the church. You is weary.
Solange, play weary. Alexa, play weary by Solange because I need to hear it. I need play. I'm tired from the Euphoria, soundtrack. Because hey, Lord, I'm tired of Tim Beck. Floyd Mayweather said, when it comes to legalized robbing, I'm the best. You ain't met Timothy. You ain't met young Timmy. Because at least
do you think there needs to be conversation in post season about Beck's job? Are you calling for Beck's job?
No. You're wrong there. Oh, I'm definitely calling for Beck's job. There should be a conversation postseason. There should be a conversation post-game. There should be a conversation post-game of, hey, Tim, wait out here in the hallway. Wait out here in the hallway. The team's gonna huddle in here. Wait out here in the hallway, Tim. I'll be right back with you. Right back with you. Let me leave you with just a little bit more here.
We got 2 minutes to leave me a little bit more.
And I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna cut it because I could keep
going
all day.
We're gonna listen to this on Locked On Wolfpack for the full. Yes,
I could keep going all day.
Yes.
But I'm gonna cut it right here.
Yeah.
MJ Morris said, "You can't win every game. It's not realistic." And to that end,
young pup.
or you know what? Let me read the exact quote. Let me make sure that I got the quote correct here.
Let's learn us something.
Every game is not going to be a W. That's not realistic. We're going to have losses. It's about how we respond. We've got to come out swinging. I come from the old school of my football players, especially my quarterback, got to be a little crazy. We got to be a little unrealistic. We got to be a little everything. Say what you want about Russell Wilson, corny self, but you know what he said? You got to be unlimited. You can't put a limit on yourself, MJ. And it's not MJ's fault. That's a baby. He's 18 years old. That boy can't drink yet. He still got Similac on his breath. He is barely removed from senior prom. I'm not mad at him. Tim Beck has rotted this culture to the core to where boys believe that. When I played for NC State, you best believe every single rep of everything I wanted to win. If they said, Ken, this is a pissing contest, I would have been standing up against the wall with a gallon water jug and some water pills to get it out of me. I'm that type of competitor. And that's what you got to be in the ACC if you want to be great. We can't win every game. It's not realistic. What? Boston College beating them? That's very realistic.
But you know what? Like we always say on this show, sometimes you got to have some pride about you. And I think Wolfpack did not have some pride about it. If nothing else, that was like in that scenario in this game, we can say, can we say with full confidence, they needed a little more pride about him.
If Dave Doran got some pride about himself, because the fans said that I was being too harsh, and this is the first time I've called for a coach head. When they were talking about Keats, I said, hey, if they bring him back, I'm behind him. When they were talking about Doran during 2019, I said, if they bring him back, I'm behind him. Tim Beck is what I can't get behind it.
You can't get behind that one.
I ain't gonna stand beside him. That ain't my man.
Stick beside him?
That ain't my man. I ain't gonna stick beside him. I ain't gonna
listen, guys.
That ain't chicken salad from 81st Deli. That ain't none of that. That's
a win is not a win. A win is not a win.
A loss is a loss. A loss is a loss. Again, Tim Beck and his performance is the ugly, because this is the worst performance I've seen by an offensive coordinator in my life. I have never seen an offensive coordinator shut out a star senior on senior night the way that Beck did. He stopped Thayer Thomas better than Boston College ever could. Our first play of the game was a 20-yard bomb to him. After that, nothing else.
Was Thayer hurt? Did we get some?
No.
Okay.
His pride is hurt. His pride is hurt.
I shouldn't even ask that question because we'll never get off this show. Kenton, it's always a pleasure to have you here on this show. You know, it's unfortunate that the Pack couldn't pull it off, but if people want to hear more, they can go to Locked On Wolfpack, hear a full episode of the backfiring, all the hot takes, all the things, the senior night blunders.
is dropping for those of you who are in, let me break down every time zone in America because I need y'all all to know this. 5 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Central, 3 a.m. Mountain Time, 2 a.m. Pacific. I'm going to tell you in detail with some analytics to back me up.
Maybe not all the yelling. I don't know. Maybe
Exactly. Exactly why Tim Beck needs to be gotten rid of.
We love
we'll
to
be
see
going
it.
over that on Locked On Wolfpack.
Guys, come back tomorrow as we talk about the good, bad, and ugly from the coastal teams because there's plenty to go around. So we can talk about that there for Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs. Until next time.